Hello, race fans. Welcome back to Freaky Fast Broadcasting as we have the SRU Cup Series here tonight at the Darlington Raceway for 147 laps around the track. Too tough to tame here in the NASCAR Next Generation car as we got the new generation of car, but the old style racing here on a very old generation track. So it should be a pretty interesting mashup we got going on. So thank you again for tuning in here to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Let's give a special shout out to all the sponsors who help make it happen here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting and SRU. And first, I want to give a shout out to Budget Sim Boxes. If you're a sim racer on a budget looking for a button box, then Budget Sim Boxes is your source. With several different sizes and functionality options, Budget Sim Boxes will have the button box that fits your price range without breaking the bank. Budget Sim Box is your source of high quality button boxes at an affordable price. You can find them on Facebook by searching Budget Sim Boxes, or you can look for them in the Facebook iRacing flea market where they are located. So you can go check out Budget Sim Boxes and get yourself one of their button boxes. And I gotta say, I have one myself. Very nice quality and very budget also. So it's, like it says, doesn't break the bank and it'll fit all your needs. Let's give a special shout out to ButtKicker. Every game deserves a truly immersive experience. The ButtKicker Gamer 2 lets you feel every detail, from subtle footsteps to the rumble of a V10 powered race car, from ambient environmental effects to the power of a nearby explosion. By moving a physical mass instead of only air, the Gamer 2 provides instant, accurate, powerful base response, and it's all perfectly in sync with every game with no additional software required. So make sure you head on over to ButtKicker.com and you can check out their ButtKicker Gamer 2 there, or many other products. You can also use our promo code during purchase there at ButtKicker.com, and that is FreakyFast20 to get 20% off there of any purchase at their website. And you can go to ButtKicker.com to feel what you've been missing. And last but not least, let's give a shout out to the McConey Setup Shop, the home for iRacing setups and the official setup shop of the Richmond Raceway Esports team, fielding the number 46 and 90 in the iRacing Coca-Cola series of Jimmy Mullis and Zach Novak. With everything from legends to cup cars, we've got you covered. Dirt setups for late models, modifieds, and wing sprints are available as well. Head on over to www.mcconeysetupshop.com today, and you can find coaching with professional drivers such as NASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion Zach Novak and his teammate Jimmy Mullis, along with River Hayes and many more there at McConeySetupShop.com, and it for $25 an hour there at coaching. So make sure you go check that out, and you can get yourself some coaching there from the McConey Setup Shop and many of their setups. And remember, at the McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but they're your victories. And remember, you can use our promo code here at Freaky Fast of FFB10 to get 10% off of any setup purchase there at McConey Setup Shop. So make sure you go check them out and use our promo code. Let them know we sent you over there. But thank you to all the sponsors who helped make it happen here tonight, Freaky Fast Broadcasting and Sim Racing Unleashed. It's a special group of sponsors, and we definitely love to shout them out. But now on to the racing action out here on the racetrack. As we were here at the Too Tough to Chain racetrack here in Darlington, South Carolina, I am Zach Hall up in the booth. Joined alongside me is Sam Dyer, as we have our producer, as always, Robert Moyer Jr. up in the production box. Sam, thanks for joining us tonight here, man. How we feeling about Darlington as we're back here with some SRU action?
Yeah, Darlington, too tough to tame. The lady in black, it's got many different names and stripes to be gained here for the SRU drivers. New gen cars, old racing service, like you noted there, Zach. We just came from Bristol last week, where Mark Whitley absolutely was on a dominating run. Got some help from lap cars taking out some competitors, but then he got caught up in a mess, was able to rebound and win. We saw a lot of drivers getting up into the outside wall at Bristol last week. I touched on it. We're expecting to see a lot of rubbing on the outside wall coming here at Darlington. These drivers pretty close to one another. Looking at the times, our top four during practice, that of Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley, that of Hartwell, as well as Stampin. There are going to be drivers that are all within a tenth of one another. But looking at the practice, when the drivers are all by themselves, Zach, the cars look pretty stable, but we've seen this league try to attempt a couple of practice restarts, and it looks like it's a mess when you get another car side by side through these corners.
Yeah, that looks very, very wild. I mean, we see a few moments that we're hoping that maybe they can clean up before we get into this action here, because if not, the field is going to be looking very thin there for a moment, because it was some big wrecks we seen coming out of two. And, you know, I don't know if that was a tribute to tires, traffic, what it is, you know, going side by side through 1 and 2, where it's very tough to do, Sam. But I think it's something we're going to have to watch for all night is when we get them all bunched up together, how who can space themselves out and get into a safe spot quickly, or do we have mayhem ensue here early as we head into qualifying? I think it's going to be very important to get yourself out front.
Yeah, it is going to be important to get that track position. It seemed like if you were up front leading this thing during their practice restarts, you got a lot of space for yourself to work with. And also another note, we're here at Darlington. Darlington known throughout most leagues and on the NASCAR surface as the 72 getting a little bit out of sorts there. Leffler's kind of want to hope that doesn't happen during the actual race, but the drivers have throwback schemes. A couple of these drivers trying out some schemes that they weren't running previously this season, and it's going to be awesome to see all the different drivers and different schemes that they throw out. I know a couple of drivers like Hunter Hayward and a couple of others thinking about just sticking with their default scheme that they've been running all season long, as getting right along with that of Brandon Dolph in the 14 on the backstretch. And look at that sun glare that they have on the backstretch. It's going to be blinding here once we go green.
Yeah, that's something definitely that's come into iRacing lately, in the last year, especially with the dynamic skies being added to iRacing, that it simulates the exact day where the sunlight would be at the exact time. So it's very accurate, and I can tell you what, it used to not be a factor here going into the nighttime, but now that light will shine into your eyes off of 4, and it gets very, very tough to see going down that first straightaway.
Your spotter is giving you the right calls when you're getting blinded that much through the corners. It's Hunter Hayward, top of the board after his first lap, as here comes that of Dolph, going to be coming across the line for his second lap here for himself, moving himself up to third and quickly dropping back to fourth with 29.038 for the 14. But here's Mark Whitley, and for looking at the 77, this team has been on a tear this season, now having the most wins with 4. Last week was tied with 3 with that Hunter Hayward. Hunter Hayward and Mark Whitley, the only drivers that have won so far this season, but with the unknown of how these cars are going to react side by side, gotta say, Zach, it looks like this could be one of those wild card races where we could see our third winner this season.
Yeah, I think this is a race, if any, that we'll see a surprise winner. This track is just going to be so different from what we've seen throughout the rest of the season. It takes a completely different skill set here, and I think one of the drivers we're looking at right here qualifying is that 81 Steven Stimpian. I think he's just getting some extra laps here after he qualified, but he's a driver I look to when it comes to this style racing and this time, where you got to lift and really manage your tires. I think this 81 could be one of the X factors in this race. We got to really watch for him. He's going to be very strong right now, sitting third on the border too, so that helps. Yeah,
it helps when you're going to be up front. Still, I mean, that glare is just so blinding to see, even for us to be watching. It's incredible how these drivers are going to have to attack that backstretch coming out of turn 2. But Zach, this course so different from others that we've seen so far. A lot of the other tracks that we've been to besides road course racing, all the corners are pretty equal to one another, but here at Darlington, they are opposite on either end of the racetrack.
Oh yeah, Sam. I mean, it's completely different ends. You got 1 and 2. It drive that corner so weird. There's no corner like that in NASCAR where you would go so deep into the corner, lift off, slide up the racetrack, get back in the gas, then lift back off to get back down the racetrack to make the turn on exit. It's almost 2 corners in itself, and in 3 and 4, one of the tougher corners in my opinion here too, because I mean, this whole place is tough, just saying that, but 3 and 4 is just so tight and acute. You got to keep it right against the wall to get the most momentum. It's a lot easier, in my opinion, to get into the wall in 3 and 4, and it's just going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I think calamity spots are going to be turn 2 and then right in the middle of 3 and 4 for guys all night hitting that wall.
Drivers got to stay focused. We're under a minute in qualifying, and I think the biggest surprise for all of us is no one's really qualifying. We've only had 7 drivers put down the lap times. That's Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley, Steven Stimpian, as well as that is Steven Leffler, Todd Neese, as well as Brad Dolph, Derek Love. Those are your 7 drivers that have put down a time. The rest of the field feeling a little bit worried about where they want to even place themselves, hoping that they'd be further back. But when you got the whole entire field not going out there, it's a random draw of where you find yourself on the grid.
Yeah, the rest of the grid should be set by iRating technically, so it'll set it that way. But the the big thing here is what I'm seeing with 7 drivers going. Sam, like you said, I think a lot of drivers are worried right now after what they've seen, especially with those practice restarts. I think a lot of guys are saying, man, if I go out there and qualify and I qualify in the middle of this pack, I might be in trouble, and I want to start in the back and hoping other people would qualify. Now you're going to start in the middle possibly anyways because not many people qualify.
Some drivers might think about just, starting on pit road, not even grid up. That could be an option with the fear that we're seeing as Zach. Here's our starting grid.
There it is. Hunter Hayward going to bring home that pole position in that number 21 machine here tonight, the Darlington International Raceway. But on to Mark Whitley there in second, last week's winner. Third is Steven Stippian. Fourth is going to be Stephen Leffler. Fifth is going to be Todd Neese. Sixth place going to Brad Delph. Seventh is going to be Derek Love, the rookie there. Eighth is going to be Jason Anderson returning this week. Ninth is going to be Brandon Hartwell. 10th place there, Michael Yarrow. 11th is going to be Glenn Ballard. Dave Bush there starting in the 12th position. 13th is going to be James Bryan. 14th is going to be Kevin Roy. 15th is Clifton Ashley. 16th is going to be Mike Chamberlain. 17th, Paul Cohen. 18th is going to go to Jason Adams. 19th is going to be Keith Hurlbutt. And looks like, sorry about that actually. I believe, there it goes. 19th Marks Kozchek, and then 20th is, as my lineup was all messed up there on iRacing here, so I had to use our lineup. So that's starting good for the night.
When you have so many drivers don't start, you're kind of confused on where do we put ourselves, as some machines look like they might be actually choosing to start on pit road. As looking at it, we have a couple of drivers still have not gridded up. That of Paul Cohen as well as Jason Adams. They have not gridded up. That's why we're still in kind of a waiting period for the next 20 seconds, and then we're expecting the drivers to take off. But Zach, from what we saw from practice and from the practice restarts these drivers tried, they tried about 4 or 5 different practice restarts with about 10 to 12 drivers all in that field. And what we were seeing is they would maybe go about a lap and then add a 2 that second time around, or even the first time going through corners 1 and 2. When they come out into the back stretch, someone gets loose up front, and it's a complete chain reaction of everyone being involved. That's why we're starting to see a little bit of a scare from these drivers, as Paul Cohen going to be deciding to stay, and he will miss the grid. Jason Adams able to make the grid for the 24, which for Jason Adams, he'd actually notified some of the drivers earlier on this week saying, hey, I don't think that I'm going to be making tonight's race, but he's shown up, he's here, he's ready to put on a show, and drivers deciding to head to the back, it looks like, as that of Dave Bush deciding to get himself an EOL, so he'll head straight to the back.
Yeah, nice to start back there in the safe area. When you got nobody behind you, you kind of can go roll into one and have that safe thought that, hey, nobody's going to run behind me. If I just get slowed down, if they wreck up, I should be fine. But I tell you what, we'll see how it plays out. I've seen where practice races in practice don't amount to nothing. You wreck, get out there in the race, and you go completely green. So we could see fireworks or some great racing action. Either way, I'm excited.
Darlington, one of those tracks where wheel spin is a factor to watch out for on almost any restart. Doesn't matter if you've got cold or even warm tires. As the drivers see the pace car pull off, we're getting ready to go. It's the American Hero Hunt 200 for these drivers. Hunter Hayward leading the way. Mark Whitley to his outside. Green flag in the air as we head to turn number 1.
Looks like Whitley going to be able to stay side by side. Does he let Hayward get the position? No, he doesn't. He fights around the outside, trying to get that track position from this 21, knowing it's going to be a battle here as they come off of 2 side by side. The field's spreading out. Hayward, second.
Hayward already going off. He talked about it. Whitley goes around as well, but we stay green as now up front it's Leffler, Neese, Stippian going to be pulling away as our front 2, who have won and dominated all season long, are now out of this thing.
Oh man, Whitley got into the wall also, so already some damage on the right side at 77, and we've seen damage not good for these cars early in the season, especially the intermediate track like this where downforce is king. And right now, this has switched everything up, giving Leffler that lead.
Keep our eyes out. Will the drivers feel that sensation kind of build up, feeling a lot more comfortable coming out of these corners the longer the run goes on, when heat gets built up for these drivers? The track temp is about 82 degrees. Ambient temperature, outside temperature that we're feeling, it's going to be 78 degrees. Those tires, it's a little bit cooler than most racetracks it's been around this week for us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but still 82 degrees track temp. It's a little warm. It's going to help these tires get built up as a little bit faster, but still a shocking moment to see our front two have the issues that they did, that being Mark Whitley and Hunter Hayward, that were up front, now back to 12th and 13th.
Yeah, they just got by Keith Roba, who just had a big old moment on the dude too. So I tell you what, Sam, we're seeing the tires come up the tip. That should help that exit problem for them. But at some point, I think that exit will become an issue again for these drivers. It's just a common theme here at Darlington. But at the moment, man, our two leaders, they just did not have the greatest start there. Again, going side by side, I understand, you're wanting to get the lead there from the 77 of Whitley, but that was a big risky maneuver there to hold it side by side through 1 and 2 on the opening lap.
So look at some of the other drivers out here. Looks like there is slight damage to the one of Todd Neese, who got into the wall about a lap and a half ago out of turn number 2. So that's where he lost that second place position. But Mark Whitley and also for Hunter Hayward, they're going to be really control cars on how well you can cut your way through traffic, as they are all the way back in 12th place. But it's side by side, 2 rows deep. Whitley stays low, going to be making the pass on the rookie of Chamberlain, and now going to be trying to figure out, is the 70 going to get up into the outside wall? Here comes Hunter Hayward, who's going to be trying to get himself to the inside, but it is just close, hard racing, and one of those things where the drivers, they're trying to be aggressive, but understanding these cars are very unhappy right now. The balance seems to be slightly off, but that's what Darlington brings you with this difference of turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, you can see just the sunlight going down the back stretch there out of 2 and heading to 3. That's a corner you want to be able to see it. Oh yeah, Kevin Roy. Yeah, big moment for him there on the outside of Hunter Hayward and Mark Whitley. Luckily they escaped by that, and Roy doesn't really get no damage out. Somehow saved that big slide. That could have been detrimental.
Kevin Roy saw that he was about to overcorrect into Hunter Hayward and decided to just throw his car into the outside wall. Now we're going to be seeing that of Clifton Ashley going to be on the outside. Ashley is just going to stay there for the 10. And now a little bit of bump drafting for the 25 as well as the 21 and the 77. And when they are this close, one slip up for one driver, you're going to be seeing at least 2-3 drivers collected into this thing.
Yeah, no fast repairs. That could have ended your night real quick, like you said, Sam. Just really aggressive so far. It's a long race here at Darlington, and this is the place where they say you gotta race the racetrack. That's the old adage, and Whitley is just racing the track, not the track. He's racing the drivers out there. That's causing issues for him, and he slips back another spot.
When you're racing in the regular Cup car, it's kind of a focus of how do you run Darlington and focus on yourself every once in a while, trying to get a pass as Ashley gets out of shape out of turn number 4, but able to hold on, knocking into the inside wall. These drivers do not have a fast repair, so if you get any damage, you're going to have to manually come into pit road and sit for that timer to go through for all the repairs to be made. So everyone's goal, not to be caught up into anyone else's messes, but everyone's trying to keep themselves neat and tidy, as we're watching on board with that of James Bryan in 7th place for the 52, rocking himself an old Dale Earnhardt Sr. scheme that he used to run for the 3, but old throwback schemes. Some drivers here on iRacing find these schemes on Trading Paint, throw them on, show them off here on stream, as for that of Bryan must be feeling good when you got no pressure really behind you or in front of you.
Yeah, he's got the what they call no man's land right here at Darlington, and I tell you, that's a perfect thing in the first run at Darlington. I'll take that. You just kind of get your rhythm. This is such a track where if you overstep your focus and overstep that rhythm that you build up, you get into the wall. So you got to find your own rhythm, own pace. And I feel like this is a good time in the race. This is, at least as myself as a driver, the opening run is always the learning phase, and never drive it too hard. This track will reach up and bite you. It is an unforgiving track. And if you push just one little ounce too hard, it's going to come up and bite you. And we're looking right now at the 81 Stimpy, and I'm telling you, he's a driver that I really think could have a good shot here tonight at winning this thing. Same with Steven Leffler. Both these guys, very good veterans here at the SRU Red League, and they've been great at doing tracks just like this, where it takes, not overstepping your boundaries like a few other guys do.
Yeah, we're starting to see Leffler losing a little bit of ground. He's trying to pull away, as well as we're seeing the battle currently on screen for 4th place, that of Brad Dolph, going to be just giving up the position, understanding Yaro's got a lot of speed on that 95. He's starting to get into that rhythm and pace, and I kind of like the call by the 14. Just get out of the way so you're not going to be putting yourself in any trouble to damage your car.
Yeah, I definitely do like that. You know, Yarrow is a smart driver, very patient, one of the most patient drivers. And I think at Darlington, if there's a place where you want to be patient, it's going to be this place. So I think that could pay off for him here tonight. And I got to say, a beautiful throwback there in the Piedmont, number 95 there as he's heading off into 1 and 2 now. Just looking around though, Sam, I've been looking a little bit as we're spreading out here with lap times. Man, Hartwell, Hayward there in 8th and 9th, turning some of the best times. Same with Whitley, not too far behind. Uh, Looks like Yarrow's right in there also at the 5:08. So leaders up front turning 6s and 7s, while Hayward and Hartwell in the 4s with Yarrow in the 5s.
Yeah, and you look if we look at the numbers from where practice was for these drivers, it was around the same track temp for practice here for the race trim, and it was Hunter Hayward leading that charge of the fastest cars out there, and only about 8 thousandths off was Mark Whitley, and then the third fastest car was that of Brandon Hartwell. So those three drivers extremely quick. And Steven Stempian, he was the fourth fastest driver out there, with the fifth fastest being that of Yarrow. But I gotta give credit to Yarrow. He is looking fast, and on the longer run, you gotta love to see the pace from the 95.
Oh, for sure. The 95, like, that's what he excels at. And we can see that definitely be his strong suit tonight. And just going through the field, I've been looking at the right sides of cars as we look back here at Dave Bush and also the 70 of Mike Chamberlain here as they run in the 12th and 13th positions, about 18 seconds back from our leader, Stephen Leffler. There are a lot of guys with right front damage. Hunter Hayward, he's knocked down the wall about 2 or 3 times in the last few laps. Looks like our leader, Leffler, may have scraped it. Looks like Stempian has been clean. Most guys getting into it, but it's a tough track to stay out of it, man.
Absolutely. As we're on board with our leader of Stephen Leffler, he has been doing a great job at into the outside wall, and that's kind of what it's been costing him time, but he's kind of hitting the wall at the perfect place through 3 and 4. I know it's kind of frowned upon, but there are certain places on this track where you bump it just right. You actually can get a pretty good launch, but that is not a very honorable way to race around this course.
Yeah, definitely not. And if you do it too many times, you're going to pay for it. So that wall at some point will come up and bite you. For a 1 lap type of deal, it definitely can make you faster and help you turn a little bit. So you could possibly see someone get up into it, use it, but like I said, definitely a frowned upon thing. And no, I definitely don't think Leffler's doing that, but he's definitely because these cars just so important. I mean, we even brought it up in the notes from the admins. He goes, keeping the right sides on these cars and keeping them clean is what they said the most important part of this race. And right now, if you're going ahead and damaging your right front in the opening 20 laps of this race, it's only going to get worse from here with no fast repairs.
Yeah, and our lead lap driver is that of Stephen Leffler, also Stephen Stempler going to be having to worry about lap traffic here shortly, as that of Keith Hurlbut going to be the first driver they catch up to the 7. He has been knocking down the outside wall a lot and continues to do so coming out of turn 2, as our leader's about 2 seconds off, now about 1.5 seconds off of the 7. There he just continue to gain up, and the question is, will we see Keith try to just ride high, get out of the way, or will he go to the apron?
As a lap car, this is a tough track to get out of the way. I think going low is the way to go to give the guys the high line. There he does. He gives the 2 leaders the position as we go down the 1. But can Yarrow navigate his way past them? That'll be the question we'll have to see. Yarrow's definitely starting to put pressure here to gain that time up on these leaders. Only 1.6 seconds back as he's going to pass Hurl, but
miscommunication in the 7 wall.
Oh man,
that's just miscommunication from the lap car, and now we're going to be seeing that of Hurlbuck going to be stuck on the outside wall with more lead lap drivers coming, and you got to communicate. I'm going low, and it looks like the 7, if everyone's paying attention, he is staying low every single time, and Yarrow just wasn't sure where the lap car was going to go, probably expecting to see the lap car hold his line, and the 95 was going to make his own move around the 7, but that's when things get tricky. But you're seeing just that right side damage whenever we see the drivers going down the front stretches or down any of these straight lines. You can see that right side damage of how many drivers are just scraping up that outside wall, and that damage gonna hurt some, and you hit it too many times, gonna have to put yourself in pit road, and that's exactly where the 7's going now.
Yeah, Hurlbut into the wall multiple times during that run. He's gonna bring it down pit road here on lap 21. See if we can get that car worked on. But Leffler up front, he had the gap build up, then Stympian pulled it back in, and then now Stympian seems to be falling back a little bit here as Leffler about 2/10 quicker that last time by, this time by about a tenth quicker. So looking good for Leffler out front, even with a little bit of damage on that right front of that car, but definitely starting to tell these guys struggling for tire wear as looking through the field just these lap times.
Yeah, Clifton Ashley actually almost completely took down the outside wall coming out of turn number 4. Had to get onto the brakes and slide in the tires. Almost got that of Mike Chamberlain mixed in the 70 right in front of the 10. Was able to make the pass, but almost bringing out our first yellow of the night. And I think, got to say, that first start that we had, the drivers really got themselves separated. It was really our top 6 that were on top of one another going into turns 1 and 2. Everyone else kind of made sure they all had space so they weren't challenging one another. As Chamberlain out into the outside wall, these guys just struggling, and we're going to touch on tires more and more because tires are so important as we're watching some great racing further back in the field as you see the 24 as well as the 19 challenging one another. This is a battle for 16th place of Glenn Burler as well as that of Jason Adams. They're going to be challenging one another, and they might be challenging for almost second to last, but still putting on a good show for both one up.
Oh, definitely a great battle nonetheless. And right now on the lead lap, but that could possibly change because about 2 seconds behind these guys is our leaders closing in pretty quickly as Steven Leffler and Steven Stympian. As I used to say this last year, Sam. I haven't said it, I don't think, this year so far because we haven't had the battle between the Stevens. But the Stevens. I just blanked out now. I can't even think what I called it. I'm sorry.
Stevens and Stevens, the Steven universe is attacking us as both the Stevens are attacking up front.
Something like, even Stevens. That's what I called it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There we go. I knew I'd remember it. That was a unfortunate moment, but looks like the battle of the Stevens is starting to heat up again as Stympian. He's closed the gap right back down. It ebbs and flows. One guy will run a couple tenths faster for a few laps, then it comes back to the 81, goes back to the 72. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's been 2 consistents that I've been seeing in our top 5. That's being Yarrow moving forward and Todd Neese falling back. Then we fall outside of the top 5 in 6th position. We find that Brandon Hartwell as well as Hunter Hayward in 8th place. Both those drivers were back battling for 10th, 11th, and 12th. You can even throw in that of Mark Whitley. They've done a fabulous job cutting their way through traffic slowly, methodically, and about to be getting inside of the top 10 into the top 5 for the 25.
Yeah, I tell you what, if that 25 gets in some track position up here, if we get a restart or something, he's got some really, really, really good pace, especially here on the longer run. Right now, really the only drivers matching him is our top 3. So Hartwell in that 25, I think he's definitely got something for these leaders.
Well, we're hoping that doesn't happen. A little bit of deja vu for a second there of last week as that of Jason Adams coming up, about to go a lot down and kind of slowing down Leffler for a second there. Thought for a second maybe we're going to see the 72 run into a lap car. That's what we saw a lot last week at Bristol, where drivers just, the closing rate so different from some of the other slower drivers that we were seeing our leaders absolutely ruin their front noses by running into a lap car, and hopefully they were able to cleanly get by that last time by as we're on board with Yarrow getting by Adams. And that sunlight, it was once a giant struggle, but looking like the sun's starting to dip a little bit lower, expecting the lights to click on here shortly.
Yeah, lights should click on at any moment. Yarrow had I don't think he could have stuck a piece of paper in him between the wall pass and Jason Adams there. But he made it through and still gained a little bit of time on our leaders at that, or lost time there, but he was gaining a good bit of time before that.
Oh, speaking of the leaders, yeah, the 81 has made the pass, and a little bit of a shift from that of Leffler given the opening, and away goes the 81.
Oh, man, he got a mega run. I went back and looked at it. He got a mega run out of 3 or 4, just set it up. Oh, even Leffler into the wall a little bit. And, man, he was just able to clear entering 1. And I tell you what, I told you guys, this 81 is very, very strong at this racetrack on long runs. I could see this guy starting to stretch his legs here. We'll have to see if Yarrow can put any pace up with him or if Steven Leffler can rebound after hitting the wall there.
even with Leffler losing this time, we're now going to be seeing what we saw a lot last week. His car into the inside wall. That's going to be that of Clifton Ashley. No yellow comes as the 10 is on the apron. And that's one of the major factors of Darlington is the track kind of surface is pretty thin. So even if the car goes sliding sideways, usually we don't see a yellow coming out, as Ashley still having troubles just getting into pit road. Got into the water barrels for a second there, able to back up, get back into pit road. But our leaders, they have lots of traffic that is going to be a mess to get by.
Yeah, Sam, I was just about to bring that up because we have got about a 5-car train at one point here, it was, of lap cars. It looks like they're starting to spread out just a little bit, but definitely 3 of them right on top of each other as Steven Stipping's going to be coming up on them at any moment. And the pace they're running right now, 31 flat, compared to our leaders, 31.7, not that much slower, only 3 tenths, around 2 tenths slower. And Yarrow, though, is one really flying at 30.60 there, about 4 tenths quicker than those flat.
The biggest thing for our leaders is they're seeing the lap cars getting loose, just going to the apron, getting out of the way. The danger is when they stay low, get loose, and try to overcorrect themselves, as Go 6 is going to be just getting himself out of the way, just saying, you know what, just go on by. I'll stay low for the 33 to our lead lap cars. But everyone is trying their best to get by the lap machines, and it looks like it's going pretty well as the 81. Woo, that outside wall is scary.
Yeah, that's such, the lap car gave it to him on the outside, Mike Chamberlain there. Well, that's just such a risky position to put a lead lap car on that high lane exiting too. I know some drivers use that as their lane and they're comfortable with it, but as myself, I like to exit right on that dotted line and go up towards the wall. So it can really throw you off when you're passing lap traffic up high there.
And it's costing time, as now that of Yarrow was about a second and a half, 1.8 seconds back at one moment. He is now less than a second from our leader, 4/10 to second place of Leffler. Yarrow's got the draft, and we've seen it a lot at the 1.5-mile courses. This course is 1.3 miles long, but these straightaways decently long. The draft is still pretty powerful. We've seen these drivers expect Yarrow to get a nice tow and trying to make a pass here on second, probably in the next 5 to 10 laps.
And I believe we are being honest out here. Let's see, yeah, from Mr. Stimpy out there in chat. What's the pit window looking like? Actually, that is a great thing to know, and I would tell you, but I believe it'd be around 60 to 70 laps. I mean, that's usually a number. I remember at some points we could make it 80, but I would say around 70, really pushing it. I mean, this next gen car has definitely got, I'm not sure how much on throttle time they have. That's going to change the effect of the fuel mileage, but I would say you see that window open up somewhere around 60.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was expecting these drivers to aim around lap 50, like 45 to 50 is the 14. Brad Dolph, he was trying to make a pass on lap traffic. It backfires. The 14. Hard contact on the front stretch, and he's now going to limp this 14 machine to pit road, or just hope that he can somehow stretch it for another 10 laps. But that's the window I'm looking at in about 10 laps to find these drivers come into pit road, get some service done. Is woo. Biggest factor for these drivers coming to pit road has to be the water barrels. That is a race ender if you get into that.
Well, I tell you what, looking at how Delph wrecked there in the 14, I mean, he, like you said, pulling out to pass a lap car there, trying to make the pass. I mean, he just came off a 2, tried to make the quick dart to the bottom there, and then cut back. When he darted left, he cut back right to straighten the car out, and as soon as he did, he lost the rear end on the straightaway. And man, that's just telling me how much tire wear is already in these tires. And I think you're right, though, Sam. Probably around lap 50 is when they're going to be pitting here, because you're not going to be able to do this race in a 1-stop. It's most likely going to come down to a 2-stop here if we have to pit.
Yeah, lap 45 to lap 50 is probably the mark I'm looking for these drivers. It's kind of the stint where you'll have still an extra set of tires to work with at the end of this race, but as drivers have 3 sets in pit road to work with, so they've got options on when they want to stretch, but expecting probably fuel-wise, they can probably go about 55 to 60, but for tires, you're going to undercut probably the next 3 laps is when you're thinking about it.
Great time, like you said, the undercut. Yeah, this track really enjoys that undercut. Lots of fall off here, especially going back here and looking. They ran a 29 flat there. That was the fastest lap for our leader. during his first run there. And so 30.58 there last time by, about a half second of fall off. So if you can go and get tires right now, each lap you're out there longer than these guys are on tires, it's about a half a second of time, or a second and a half, sorry.
Fastest car on track. That's the car in third place. It's going to be Michael Yarrow, and he's on the back bumper of that of Leffler. And Leffler just about 3-4 car lengths as Leffler gets into the outside wall. Going to be losing a little bit of ground. Here comes Yarrow thinking about possibly making the pass here. But at the same time, when you're this close into a run, it's so risky to try to make a pass on a lead car and for position just because you can't really trust your tires at this point if you have enough grip to go to the inside.
Yeah, it's such a tough place, first of all, to pass anyways, that you got to have trust in the car. And Leffler getting into the wall. That right side's getting more and more banged up. He's just trying to hang on to the spot now at this point. I mean, it's a tough thing to do passing here, but Yarrow's one of the most patient drivers. I'm sure he'll wait until there's some type of mistake here that allows him to make a quick, easy, clean pass. I don't see too many big risks out of this 95 here this early in the race.
And now into pit road, going to be that of Derek Love, and the rookie coming in this season. Has a lot of right side damage for that 87, but he's going to get 4 tires, get some damage repair for himself, and get back out there. He's one of the first drivers to pit around lap 45, and expecting a lot of this field. If you've got some heavy damage, with how small the field's going to be left in this race, you might think about just getting your full repairs done so you don't have to worry about ever having to get repairs done later on when it just continues to compile onto one another if you continue slapping that outside wall.
Yeah, it really does compile. You keep adding on to the damage, and I think Yarrow might have actually caught it that time. Yeah, he caught it just a little bit right there on the Darlington, South Carolina sign. And this car too, we've seen it all season long with how big the arrow is and how much you want to keep the fenders nice, straight, clean on this thing. And if you got here beating up that wall, it's just going to slow this race car down. The Yarrow, as we're riding on board with him, you can see just trying to make something happen, but Stympian getting smaller and smaller in front of him. He's going to have to get by Leffler quick if he wants to get up to him.
Oh, absolutely. Lights are on. The sun is setting. We're going to finish this race under the lights as 100 laps to go for our leaders. And it's one of those races where when the lights go out, the cars, you hope the track starts to cool off, but actually it's gone up a degree since the last time we touched on it. It's now up to 83 degrees for the track temp. And Zach, I mean, it doesn't seem like that's too hot compared to what we've seen before in other leagues and other tracks, but still pretty warm for these tires.
Yeah, still pretty warm for these tires and warm for this time of day, I would say. This late afternoon condition, most of the time you see around the 70s, starting to fall into possibly the lower 60s, as you can see Hartwell come up on the traffic of the 12 here. And man, Roy there in that car and Glenn Ballard in the 19. You saw how much the 25 had to slow up for him. I mean, he's almost upwards of a half second to almost a second faster than these guys on those tires. And Ballard really hard to the wall. Yeah, big moment there in front of Hartwell. He's going to navigate by. That had to be a clinching moment for that 25 as he heads down the straightaway.
I think for that of Hartwell, he doesn't want to be involved in the wreck, but would love a caution to come out. Being 7.6 seconds back from our leader, and when you're that far back, especially with how even we've been seeing the tire wear drop off for a lot of these drivers, it's kind of difficult to even make that time up with the mistakes we saw early on. And this is kind of what Darlington can bring us, is with the fact that yellows, sometimes they pile on a lot throughout a race, and other times it's like this, where we see cars having incidences, but the yellow isn't thrown, which can put us in a situation where we can stay green practically for the whole race. And if you had an early mistake, it's going to be putting you in trouble quickly. Mark Whitley now into pit road as we come to 51.
Yeah, he had just saw him dip off the pit road there. First one to elect to do it of the top drivers up in his top 10. And he's going to hit that box, and we'll see. I think it's going to be a domino effect now.
And if you're watching now in the chat, it was added on before these guys really went green, but there is a poll. Do you think Mark Whitley can win this thing? With that first lap incident, I would say no, but it's Mark Whitley. You never really know when he's truly out of the race.
Yeah, I tell you what, you put that guy out front with a late race restart, he's going to make that car pretty wide. So I wouldn't count him out yet, but it's still not, been the greatest race for that 77. Started in that second position. Same for Hayward in 21. They've had to make a rebound with that giant spin they've had. Now, the rest of the race, they're just trying to do damage mitigation. They're hoping for definitely some type of caution to get him in a chance to win. But at the moment, it's looking bleak.
See on screen, trying to get by the lap car of the 12 of Kevin Roy. Roy's just going to dip to the inside, getting out of the way as quick as possible. But Hunter Hayward's got to be careful because he's got that of Derek Love, who's got fresh tires, gotten a little bit of repairs. That 87 going to be pressuring the 21 throughout this whole entire stint until we see Hayward coming to pit road, which this is the difficult thing for these lead lap drivers is when you've got drivers behind you that have over, 40 to 45 lap fresher tires than you. They can run up right on your back bumper, and it's a difficult call. Do you continue to hold on to this position, or do you just get out of the way?
Yeah, it's such a difficult position. You don't want to give up time because you're still racing on that lead lap, trying to get as much time as you can see there. The 21 Hayward in the wall that sent Derek Love down the racetrack, trying for him to miss him. And oh man, yeah, it's definitely hold him up. Hayward's trying to do his best to go as fast as he possibly can, but at the same time, these lap cars on the new tires are trying to get by and try to get in position to use that undercut. If you get held up by lap traffic, it kind of ruins that. So these guys still trying to get by here. It's kind of interesting that nobody has pit other than Whitley, really, of the top runners up there, Sam. I'm kind of interested in that call for these guys staying out as long as they are. Maybe thinking a caution will come out because I can tell you much. This is one of the times at Darlington where it's the scariest points where guys are on new tires and some guys are on old tires. That's when you get the most likely chance for a caution or these long green flag runs.
Yeah, and you don't want to be trapped a lap down like we've seen all the drivers that have pitted so far. Another driver that pitted about 3 laps ago, Todd Neese, the one, he came into pit road, going to be back in 11th place. But for that of Mark Whitley and for Neese, they're not even the first car a lap down. You've got that of Kevin Roy and Chamberlain, who have not pitted. They're going to be the first cars a lap down. So it's difficult to say when these drivers are thinking about pitting. But looking like Kevin Roy now coming into pit road as he was in 9th position. And I think a lot of these drivers, like I said, try and stay out as long as possible. But the longer you stay out, the more chances of getting more damage onto your car because of the lack of grip, the way that you have to attack these corners.
Oh, as this run continues on, it's only going to get worse and worse for these drivers with front grip, rear grip, every type of grip you could want here at this racetrack. And, we talked about the lights kicking on, the cooler temperatures coming to fruition here. I could see if we get into a little bit of a cooler temperature, the balance of the car definitely shifting a little bit. This racetrack especially, just from the last few races I've done here, it's been really affected by the track temp and the cooler surface. And it seems like, to me, at least this is what I felt from my driving experiences, the front tires gain a lot of grip as that track cools down. And it seems like the rear kind of has the same amount of grip it had before, so you kind of trend to a little bit of a looser condition and a little bit better front turn as them cool conditions come on. So we'll be interested to see if those rear ends kick out a little more as this race goes on.
We've seen the rear ends and the drivers kind of trying to save themselves a lot, even with fresh tires. So kind of puts you in a lot more of a scarier thought of how these drivers are going to be able to attack and hold on to their cars as lap 60s come to a start. Still waiting for about half the field to come into pit road. That of our leader, Steven Stampian. And gosh, Steven has been doing a fabulous job of the 81 car. 3.5 seconds is the gap between himself and Leffler. And you got to be thinking for that of Michael Yarrow. He is happy to make this pass as Leffler looks like he is making the call to pit road.
Yeah, he's going to make that call to come down here on lap 60. So interesting call there. We'll see if, I don't think you can stretch it to a one stop. Pitting here at 60, that would be a waste in my opinion if you could make it to that point. So we'll see when the other drivers elect to do it. I'd imagine it's going to have to happen soon for a bunch of them. But right now, they're still electing to stay out as Leffler from that second spot will come in. And like you said, that releases Yarrow, and he's finally like, man, thank you. And, I think he's coming down the pit road.
Wasn't able to utilize that freshness at all. The 95, into pit road for Yarrow. And if drivers aren't going to try to stretch it out to halfway, the marker they need to get to is lap 74. They can get to lap 74. They are good to split it halfway. That would be cutting down a whole pit stop, which these pit stops have been extremely long, especially for the drivers that have been trying to take some repair damage for themselves. They got to be careful not to lose too much time, as now the question is, when will we see the rest of our front top 10 need to come into pit road? That of Stempian, Hartwell, Hayward, that of James Bryan, who Bryan touched on it. He's been in no man's land. No one has been close to the 52 at all this race.
You're exactly right. I mean, he's probably been having a pretty interesting race. You know, I've had one of these here before at Darlington. It's kind of boring, but it's kind of nice at the same time. You kind of remember how fun this track is to drive, just making laps around it. And at the moment here, not too far ahead of the leader, Steven Stempian. But I tell you what, like you said, in no man's land there in the 4th spot, been kind of riding there this whole race.
Still waiting for our top 5 to come in as James Bryan, and also looks like the 53. A little bit of a scare, and now I'm going to be possibly thinking about pit road is Dave Bush and 53. He just had a very awkward moment for the 53 in himself, and now going to be ducking it into pit road. Looks like as he's showing to stay low, and probably will continue to stay low until he can get to pit road.
Yeah, he had some type of moment there, Sam, out of 4, and he's kind of kept it on the apron since then. So, big moment for him as he pulls it down the pit road for that 53 Dave Bush from the top 5 spot. Remember, he took an EOL to begin this race. It looks like Stempian has hit pit road now in the 81 also, so that transitions the lead over to Hartwell's hands.
Hartwell, Hayward still out there on track. Also, for that of James Bryan, still staying out. Those are the 3 drivers on the lead lap that have not pitted. We're still waiting for that of Mike Chamberlain, as well as Jason Adams, that are going to be staying out as long as possible. And for that of Chamberlain and for Adams, I know for last week at least, Adams was trying to somehow cut away from an extra pit stop from himself. He might be thinking the same thing, as he's running so off the pace that it might be possible for him to save and cut himself a pit stop away. But by losing all this ground and time, it might just be backfiring for the 24.
Well, what I want to see here, once we get all cycled through about how, the guys who did the undercut, especially the 77 Mark Whitley, I think he'll actually most likely be our leader once it all cycles out. And I believe he pit 15 laps before Steven Stempian, our leader, did. I'm gonna tell you what, 15 laps on new tires will take you from 9 seconds back to a whole corner ahead.
Yeah, and right now he is still leading the charge. Has about a 6.8 second lead over that of Stempian, and gotta be loving having that type of a gap. But we know that there is gonna be a huge charge, as Mark Whitley gonna be about 7/10 lower. But Leffler, he made the pit stop 4 laps sooner. He had lost a lot of ground to the 81, and they are now nose to tail, battling for 4th place currently, as we still wait for that of James Bryan to come to pit road, as Hunter Hayward is now in his box.
Yeah, Hayward there waiting to come in, but still James Bryan, like you alluded to there, saying he's really stretching it. Did he save enough fuel? I mean, he's been in no man's land, kind of riding by himself. The draft would help for fuel mileage, but also that would have given him the ability to lift a lot and post a lot. He did just get into the wall there leading, but Whitley only 5 seconds back. He should be the James Bryan pretty quickly. So these 2 strategies could play out very interesting by the end of the race if Bryan can stretch it to the point he needs to.
I mean, for James Bryan, why not try something crazy here? He was with no one else. Why not try something? And currently, again, if we can see the 52 get to lap 74, we know he can split this race in half at that marker. But winning the race, that's kind of a tall task. But having a great run here, possibly finish out this, it's not a bad call for himself.
Oh, definitely not a bad call. I think this here could play out to be a better finishing position than he would have if he stuck to the original strategy. So, if you can one stop it, it's always faster in my opinion. I mean, unless you got to stop on the racetrack and fill it up with fuel to make that one stop happen, then it's not really going to slow you down too much by saving some fuel. Right now, he's getting close down. Like we said, if he can get within that 4 lap, that 74 there, he should be good to the end.
Yeah, if he can get to lap 74, and that's what we're keeping our eye on. And right now, looking at James Bryan, he is still ahead of Mark Whitley, would he possibly, with the way that things are running down and with that undercut pit stop. This is looking great for Mark because he's still finding himself with a 3-second lead over Stempien, who he's trying his best. He's running still about 6 tenths faster, but it is taking a lot of time to try to catch up to the 77. This undercut might work if he does it once again, which if last time it was around lap 50 when we saw Mark Whitley pit. So expecting around lap 100 to make this pit stop as Brian gets into the wall. Here comes the 77 for the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about this. He goes and takes the lead down here to 1. He was almost 10 seconds back when he pit for the lead. I mean, that's an amazing undercut he's done. And if he can get to lap 100, like you alluded to there, Sam, for his next pit stop, and he's under 10 seconds, then it's a net gain from him. You know, if he's less than 10 seconds behind that lead, I think he will end up less than 10 seconds behind the lead. So I think he's played the strategy right. It was the most aggressive strategy because if a caution would have came out. But he is on the optimal strategy, in my opinion, for this race. It's just the rest of the leaders being a little less willing to take that risk for a caution.
Exactly. As Leffler going to make contact of Brian, and just some miscommunication there of where the drivers are going to go. Brian stayed low. Leffler trying to get his nose under the 52. Wasn't able to, but we stay straight. We stay green. But a little bit of a scare for that third place battle as James Bryan continues to fall back. For that, James Bryan, if he falls back to outside of the top 5, that's when I'm kind of concerned for the 52's call, because that's where he was running, was around 5th position before everyone else started to come into pit road. It's one of those calls of really did it net gain, or was it just a trial to see? As he's made to lap 74, if he comes in, we know that James Bryan is good to make it to the end.
Yeah, it should be good to make it to the end here, but man, he's definitely, not. Oh, it looks like he's going to be coming down this time. So I think he had to save a good bit of fuel to make it to this point. And that pace giving up, especially on the old tires, it's a tough track to be able to pull that off. And then I think, like you said, I think it might end up being in a net loss for him if he has to save much more.
Steven Stempien needs to calm down. He keeps on making the pass for the lead when we are not watching him. He does it once again, the 81, back to his comfortable spot, to the lead, to the front, and he is pulling away from the rest of the field. No surprise that the 81 is going to pull away because he had the freshest tires. He was one of the last cars in the top 5 to pit 4 tires. He is good to just cruise away, rock away. Expecting to see this team coming to pit road around 110, I would say. I think that's the window we're looking for. 105 to 110 is where we expect Stempien to make his final pit stop. If not, maybe around 115.
Yeah, I think he can stop. I don't think he'll stretch it as far as he did last time. I think he'll, like you said, about 115, maybe 110 for a stop there in that 81 machine. But really, I'm going through the field. I just wanted to just take note of the right sides of these cars. I got to give a shout out to the 25 of Brandon Hartwell in the 6th position right now. That is a clean, pristine right side on the side of that race car. And, man, that's impressive. 77 laps into this race.
It's actually more impressive when you look at the drivers that he was racing around, and he was caught up in the mix of multiple 2-3 wide incidents where cars were just piled on top of one another, and to still have a pretty clean looking car for the 25. Great job by Hartwell to be doing what he's doing, and every single time you see these cars duck low in the center of the corner of 3 and 4, you just hold your breath for a second, hoping that he doesn't come out and hit the wall. And as we talk about him, he blinks. Oh no! He blinks right back, and we're hoping he comes back. And he does. Hartwell, don't give us a heart attack.
Yeah, I tell you what, Sam, last season, that driver was a threat each and every week in the 25 of Hartwell, especially on those long runs. This season so far in the next gen car, it's been somewhat of a struggle in the races that he's been through so far. So good to see him back up in the top 5 battling for positions. And like I said earlier in the race, if he gets a caution and can get up there with Stempien, Leffler, and Yarrow, I think he could have something for those guys also.
Yeah, I would say that if there wasn't that little bit of a mistake from Hartwell and Hayward and also from Whitley, this lead pack dynamic would look so different from one another, because it would be a lot closer. I think for Leffler and for Stempien and for Yarrow, they lucked out with the major mistakes qualifying wise for Hartwell, and then just the mistakes going through 1 and 2 and on the backstretch for Mike Whitley and for Hunter Hayward for themselves on the first lap. It's set him back so far that you had to undercut if you even wanted a shot. That's why we're seeing the 77 losing ground to practically everyone because he's on so much older tires than the rest of the field.
Yeah, and here at lap 81, he's still got to at least go another 20 laps as they completed 80 right there. So he's got 20 laps if he wants to go to 100 like he did there first time at 50. And he's already 5.1 seconds back after Stimpy passed him a few laps ago. He may actually fall past 10 seconds, and that undercut may no longer look as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, with that last stint though, it worked out. It looked great because everyone was on equal footing. So they were all on the same, tire strategy at that moment. But when you go on to different tire strategies in the middle of these races, that's when what we thought was going to work in stint one actually kind of gets reset because of how different we see these tires evolve throughout these races.
Now looking at the battle, the one of Todd Neeson at 21, 100 Hayward here as they come up on Jason Adams. Looks like Nee's going to let Hayward by in the 21. That's going to give him the 6th position back as he's going to try to go chase Hartwell down as he's got Jason Adams there and Kevin Roy in the 12. Directly ahead of him as they exit off of 4.
And looking at some of the other lap cars that have been involved in a lot of incidences, some drivers that took their time on pit road. Brad Dolph, who had issues coming out of turn number turn number 4, trying to get by lap cars, destroyed the 14, had to get in, get some repairs. Luckily, the repairs didn't take as long as I thought they were going to be. Dolph is currently running in 8th place. Another driver that had to take a long pit stop, that being Derek Love, in 10th position, as he had to do a very similar, about 55 seconds in pit road. A normal pit stop, or anywhere from 12 to 15 seconds for these drivers. Any longer than that, you're taking repairs. Hunter Hayward, got to be careful though. Woo! Adams also for the 7, got to be careful. Adams goes slow and goes spinning around for the 24.
Oh man, no, there's a come back up on the race surface. Looks like he'll keep it down from here. But man, oh man, very close there in 1 and 2. And whew, Hayward had to breathe a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, that certainly was a scary thought when you've got 2 lap cars that are kind of, it's one of those things when you come to Darlington. Also, what we saw last week at Bristol is you catch a lap car at a poor time. It's not really either car's fault. It's just the speed difference and that you find at these corners. And there's certain spots on the track where it funnels down, or it doesn't matter if you're fast or slow. You're both going to be finding yourselves in the same real estate, and luckily everyone survived except for that of Jason Adams, who found himself slipping and sliding but still running in the 24 back in 13.
Yeah, that was a wild moment there for our 6th place man, Hunter Hayward, able to get by there as Keith Hurlbut probably had a pretty big, whoa, that was a pretty interesting moment, type of deal. And I think it was really what happened is Adams coming up on Keith in the 7 trying to make a pass, and then I don't know if he just noticed Hayward on new tires behind him, because when he went to go up, Hayward was already there, and that could have been catastrophic. Because look at this, Yarrow already back to Leffler. That 1 lap later pit stop from him, as they're about 5.9 now back from Stimping. It seems like it's really hurt them as both these drivers into the wall.
Both into the wall, and we're starting to see the tires starting to plateau, even out. Mark Whitley is not losing ground. He is now starting to even out, running with some of these front runners. That last lap, only 0.3 off of our leader, with that hard contact with the wall, both for Leffler and Yarrow. Here comes Yarrow to the outside as Leffler just ducks it low, going to give that position, but both of those drivers about 0.4 off with that collision with the wall compared to Mark Whitley behind him.
Yeah, I think Whitley, the undercut, we're talking how good it worked for him. He's 7.2 back now, but like you said, times are starting to even out for him a little more as he's all over the back of left, where he might be able to get up into the 3rd position. But I tell you, he can't look too far behind because there's a 25 machine coming behind him that is a couple tenths a lap quicker than these guys ahead, and he could be there pretty quickly as this race goes on.
25, Brandon Hartwell. He's been trying to keep the 25 machine clean as possible as we've stayed green. And for the 25, that last lap, fastest car on track, trying to continue to be the fastest car this time around, and still by 1/100th of a second, it's going to be Hartwell cruising his way and running anywhere from a couple of tenths to just almost a couple of hundredths faster than everyone else out here on track.
Yeah, Yara he's just a driver that always seems to come to life as the race goes on. And, he's definitely proving it right now, and he's using a little bit of unorthodox line on the bottom of 3 and 4. Very interesting to watch. He's actually making it work pretty well also.
Steven Stempian just continuing to be on cruise control, loving the fact that the lap cars are just trying to get out of the way as soon as possible, recognizing it's the leader. Let's get out of the way, kind of learning from last week's mistakes of being in the way. I know Bristol, one of the harder tracks to make sure that you get it out of the way as a lap car, but I think they learned from last week to this week of not seeing our leaders really get too much damage from any lap machines while making these passes.
Yeah, and we had a big moment with 12 Kevin Roy. He almost had a wreck there on the front straightaway.
Get himself loose out of the way of everyone else, and again, no yellow. We've seen about 5-6 drivers getting loose either out of turn 2 or turn 4. That could have brought out a yellow at any other course, but Darlington, the racing surface is where you need to be sideways and having yourself a wreck. It is so thin here at Darlington. There's practically only 2 lanes against the wall. If you're not spinning and completely sideways there, the yellow will not be thrown here.
Yeah, exactly that. Racing surface very narrow. Ooh, Roy almost getting into Yarrow in the 12 machines. He's getting lapped. That was very, very close. But look at this. Hartwell is there as he's got the Whitley and the 72 of Leffler. He has a possibility to drive this thing up at the second, guys.
Oh, it is very possible. He is running still about a tenth faster than Yarrow, and Yarrow was the fastest driver for a lot of that first stint late in the run. As Steven Stempian, he continues to pull away, and again, we're keeping at the numbers of where Mark Whitley is to the rest of our leaders, and you kind of touched on it for the Mark Whitley strategy. He would have to stay out there for those 15 laps without any other trouble. As Leffler gonna be a little bit pinched by the 14, also contact with the 7 down below, giving Mark Whitley a shot to go low, but the hardest contact for himself. Here comes the 25, Hartwell. He's found the pace, he's found the spot, easily up to 4th.
Man, oh man, that 25 is going forward as we ride on board with him around this racetrack. Next, he's got his sights set on the 77 Mark Whitley. That will take him into podium position here as this race closes into that point where Mark Whitley will pit. I mean, he's right now 9.1 behind the leader, so he's got to break it even with Stempian, but he's gained major time on second and third of Yarrow and Leffler. And same for Hartwell. He's done kind of the opposite strategy of Whitley, so as both strategies could work out. But I think Yarrow is going to be the one to be a threat. And if we get a caution at some point, he could be a threat for a race win.
Oh, I mean, we've got that of Mark Whitley and also Hartwell. Both of those drivers really never had a shot at the beginning of this race after them being with Hartwell backing off after seeing our leaders getting into having issues. And then with Whitley wrecking, even though he was up front and was one of the drivers to try to get a pole position, finishing second under our qualifying runs. You know the 77's quick. You know that the 21 of Hunter Hayward's fast. Both of them hoping for a caution. As Mark Whitley, he's now gotten past that 10-second mark. It's now looking like that run of undercutting might be come to a close unless he pits now. If he really wants to make the undercut work to the best of its abilities, he's got to pit soon, because the longer he waits, the sooner we're going to see our leaders try to pit a lap after he comes in.
Oh, man. Really got back by him. That was weird. Yarrow just let him back by. Or Hartwell did. I wonder what that was about.
The drivers just getting loose, backing off, trying to make sure that they didn't get themselves in any mix-up here.
Oh, yeah, I guess he did catch the apron there. So that doesn't help there. Just catch a little bit. That got him a little bit loose. That lets Whitley get back by, and got the sides back on Whitley. Whitley let him go. So if he gets to his inside again, I think Whitley will let him go. But Whitley's nearing that pit stop window here. He'll be next lap. He'll be 100 right at the 50 mark. I wonder here, though, does he stretch it a little bit longer to be closer on tires to these guys at the end?
Well, we're now watching at Steven Stempian, and he's one of the drivers that's been leading, dominating, and it's been a blessing to see himself 100 laps in. But he's going to have a lap car of Jason Adams that's going to have some fresh tires. going to be trying to keep up with our leader, as well as that of James Bryan. Bryan currently the first car a lap down, 2 laps down, and his goal, unlap himself. So once we see our leaders have to come into pit road, he'll be able to stay out there, unlap himself, and hopefully come away with a top 5 finish.
You can see there on the screen, Jason Adams in the 24 unlapping himself for our leader, Steven Stimpian, and going down there 1 there. So good job by the 24 getting another lap back for himself. Should be down 2 now when they cross the line. But they've got James Bryan here in 52 come by to get his lap to get 1 lap down.
Well, we're going to be expecting these drivers, if they're going to have to make their pit stop, it's going to be the next 10 to 15 laps, as we are going to step side by side. You won't miss a thing, as we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, the final 40 laps of this race to see if Steven Stimpian's going to just pull away and dominate his way to a win, or will someone else try to undercut and try to snatch this one away from the 81. We'll be right back in just a few.
want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that McConey Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at McConey Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, McConey Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to McConeySetupShop.com and learn why McConey Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Sim Racing Unleashed Race 8 for SRU here at Darlington for the American Hero Hunt 200. And the drivers are hunting for that is Steven Stympian, who has been on a dominant tear, keeping the 81 clean, and it has been green, and it's been amazing racing action. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Calling. In the production chair is Robert Moyer Jr. And I'm looking at this, Zach, and looking good for our 81 up front, but we've already seen a couple of drivers pit and more coming into pit road. Hunter Hayward now hitting the box.
Yeah, Hunter Hayward in the 21. He was one of the ones that stay out the latest last time. Now electing to come in a little bit earlier than a few other guys. Is Steven Stympian, like we said, he can kind of do what he wants. He's got a lead to where he can kind of wait and let these guys get by him, and he should be within distance to get back by him. But if I'm Michael Yarrow, Stephen Leffler, you got to be thinking that Whitley and Hartwell pitted, who are right with them, they're going to jump them by a lot, and they saw how much the undercut did for them before. It could definitely play out where Whitley and Hartwell could push themselves up into a podium spot over Yarrow and Leffler.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to look at the times between that of the 77 and the 25. As right now, close racing. You got Leffler in third position being passed by lap traffic. That was Derek Love, and here comes the 7 now of Earl Button. That of Todd Neese, one of the drivers in the 1 that has already made his pit stop and currently in 6th place. But Neese, it's been a recovery for himself as Steven Stympian. Oh my goodness, he's in pit road. I thought I was freaking out for a second. 81. I was like, no, he's slowing down. Did I see smoke? Oh my God. I had a heart attack.
He just caused me to have a mini heart attack right here in the booth. That's to happen inside.
I want to let you know, there was talks in the commercial of Zach almost trying to curse the 81, and I thought for a second, I saw him low, and I was like, there's no way.
Wild moments in the Freaky Fast move right here. And so luckily, Stimp makes it safely off of the pit road and back onto the track. Let's hope everything plays out well for him, or I will be mad at myself.
Yarrow stays out, Leffler stays out. Those are the 2 that need to make a pit stop. Everyone else, they should be good to make it. James Bryant, the driver that decided to stay out as long as he could to make this race a 1-stop, currently running in 8th position, but 1 lap down. It's not looking like the trying to remove a pit stop worked out, just lost too much time for himself.
Yeah, it's just not worked out that way. Sometimes you play a strategy, you live and die by it. Unfortunately, it looks like he may die by it tonight, but there's always another race next week, and that's the big thing you got to keep in mind when you're racing out here on the racetrack. But Yarrow still electing to go on in the 95, and same with Stephen Leffler. I'm not sure if these guys are trying to catch some type of caution. They are losing major amounts of time. I mean, we are nearing the point where we'll be, I mean, we're under 30 to go. I think it's definitely time for these guys to hit pit road if they want to be able to get their positions back.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think the longest you can go is probably for another 2 laps around 121. Might be the furthest you can go for the 95 if you're planning on gaining all your positions back of the time that you've lost. But for those that are staying out of Leffler and Yarrow, that caution still is there. We saw that of James Bryant stay out for about 74 laps currently right now. We're coming up to lap 59 on this stint, so it's a little bit too far for my liking, but you know, some drivers might think about trying to stretch it, as Yaro's now going to be ducking away, giving space to that of Mark Whitley, who will now unlap himself, leaving us with 3 cars 1 lap down. 3 cars on the lap, excuse me, as we've got about 5 or 6 cars still 1 lap down for themselves.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is getting interesting. Here comes Stipien to get by Yaro, to get position here on that Ricky Will throwback for Yaro there in the 95 machine. Is now there goes Hartwell. Also, oh man, very close between Jace Bryant and 81 of Steven Stipien. That could have been very catastrophic, as Stipien trying to run down Whitley to get this lead back. That will be after these pit stop sequence go through. I tell you what though, it's definitely tense moments for Stipien, because he's got to make a pass here still.
Yeah, he needs to get by that of Mark Whitley, and Whitley, his goal, get as much lap traffic between himself and the 81, and it's been working out great, as Derek Love's going to put a little bit of a block because he wants to get by the 24, and now we're kind of clogging up the track, having issues for themselves, and if we're going to be seeing a yellow, it might be here, as we're seeing some drivers that are running hard. Hartwell, he's now getting in the mix of things, with Stipien having issues with lap traffic, and finally, Stipien's able to get by, clean racing, and now he's got his eye set on the 77 of Mark Whitley.
Yeah, definitely not the greatest there for Stipien to get by, but he's got by clean, and that's all that matters. Now he has 25 laps. Once pit stops sequel through, the battle for the lead is going to be these 3 up front. I tell you what, Whitley, the strategy has been on point tonight for the 77, because he has clawed back a lot of that gap that he has lost.
Michael Yaro now into pit road, giving him the lead to that of Steven Leffler. And Leffler, he's been trying to stay out, battling for 3rd place for the most, but this is what could be for the lead, as that of Whitley trying to hold off that of Stipien. But here comes Step to the inside. The 81 is coming with that of steam, but just couldn't get the run, as he's still right at the quarter panel.
Oh, and it turns him!
It's hit him! Oh my goodness, Mark Whitley with the undercut. It doesn't matter. Spun around. We stay green. Steven Stipien, he is just saying we are going to get our 3rd winner this season. No longer will it be Mark Whitley. No longer Hunter Hayward. The 81 to the point, but he's got that of Hunter. He's got himself that of Hartwell right behind him. Will that damage influence the 81 at all here at the end?
My mouth is on the floor, Sam. I think what Stipien's going for there, he didn't get the greatest run and exit out of 4 there. He wanted to make sure he was alongside enough to get that pass. Tried to do the side draft, and that shows you the side draft so easy to make a mistake, get into the quarter panel of your competition, and spin them down the racetrack. You know, I don't think no ill intent there, but at the same time, Stipien had to get going. He knew he needed to get that pass done. He's been dominating this race, didn't want to see it lost. And I tell you what, yeah, definitely was going for an aggressive move there.
And Steven Stipien, he is pulling away even with the damage. It helps when you've got 7-lap pressure tires than the driver behind you. Hartwell pitted 17 laps ago, Stipien 10 laps ago. That slight advantage of tire rubber is helping even with the damage that he got from spinning the 77.
Oh man, definitely not shaking out the way that Whitley wanted it to play there for the 77. But man, 21 laps to go. Leffler still yet to pit. He could probably go, I would say, at least another 10 laps from here, maybe more. But only thing he's making on is a caution, because if you see Michael Yara, he is a lap down from staying out that long. I mean, he gave up massive amounts of time in 95. I mean, I'll be surprised if he gets anywhere close to a top 3.
Top 3 might not be in the window, but a top 5 certainly there, as Yaro about 5 seconds away from making the pass on Mark Whitley. About half straight away is the difference from the 95 to the 77, as getting by that of Todd Nice. And for that of Yaro, about to unlap himself to be the 6th car on the lead lap, as Yaro running, looking at his lap times, about 8/10 faster than that of Whitley. But Whitley, who heavily damaged, his goal just to try to get a top 6 finish, which looks possible right now. And looking at some of the other times, between the 95 and the 21, about 0.2 is the difference between those drivers. So it's going to be a little tall order for Yarrow to get himself into the top 4, but the top 5 looks possible.
Yeah, I'd say it's also going to help with if this thing stays green, Leffler's going to have to pit in the 72, so that's going to give him a spot there. A top 3 is still within reach. I said it wasn't just a moment ago, but look at that. He's going to have to get Hayward. Hayward is going to be the one he's going to have to get. At this point, the lap time's only 0.2. Really, Hayward actually faster that last time by. That's not going to help. With 18 to go, he's got the tires to do it, but does the time work out? We'll have to see. Hayward, though, going to probably make it very tough to pass as he's going to try to get a cheeky little top 3 in 21.
Last time by, over a second faster was Yarrow. He had to get by some lap traffic. That's what's been holding him off. Now going to be making the pass for 5th place as Mark Whitley defending, not giving the position easily, even with the damaged car finally having to move up. And it's going to be Michael Yarrow into the top 5, even with the late pit stop. But we know for sure Steven Leffler cannot make it to the end of this race. He's pulled it out as long as he could. He's got about another 2 to 3 laps for the 71 before he is forced to come into pit road. But that caution needs to come now as Steven Leffler wants a shot to try to win this thing, because he's going to be going over a lap down. Might be forced outside of the top 5 with how long he's staying. He has to come to pit road now.
You got to think, man, took the lead early in this race, led multiple laps, finally got by got passed by the 81 of Stevie Stippian, and then kind of rode their battle with Hartwell or Yarrow for that whole first portion of the race. And then kind of after that second pick, it's kind of went downhill for the 72. I'm thinking that right side damage that car has is definitely catching up to it, because it's a good bit looking at it.
Oh, definitely. As you can see, the 52 of James Bryan as well as Yarrow making the pass is Yarrow over the lap down machine. And for James Bryan, he tried it, succeeding so far to make this race a one-stop. The other driver that's trying to do that is going to be that of Jason Adams, who's 3 laps down currently. And it was a valiant effort to try to stay out to turn this race into a one-stop, but that strategy just lost you too much time faster to pit twice, which sometimes it's nice to slim down on your pit stops. Other times it could be detrimental to where you could have finished.
And there you see Yarrow getting by the 24. Jason Adams, the lap car. Now, only thing in front of him he has to set his sights on is that 21 of Hunter Hayward up ahead of him. About 3 seconds separating those two. 13 laps to go. Right now, the pace between those two, a 30.41 behind Yarrow, 30.30 for Hunter Hayward, but Yarrow also making the pass on lap traffic. We'll see here as they had a clean lap this time. Can Hayward pull off this top 3 here in really an interesting fashion, I would say?
13 coming to 12 laps to go. Time is ticking away, but the driver that made a kind of a dramatic move thought he was going to have to work harder, and he took out the 77 of Mark Whitley to get himself up front. He had the tire advantage, just a little bit of a misjudgment, but Steven Stippian up front looking good. The gap between himself and Hartwell now 4 seconds as it continues to grow between the 81 and the 25. The real battle we're keeping our eye on is the battle for 3rd. Can Michael Yarrow catch up to Hunter Hayward, as well as watching Mark Whitley just losing ground to the lap traffic?
Well, 4/10 faster that time by. Last time for Yarrow. Yarrow gets a little bit of loose out too. Maybe pushing very hard here, trying to get that position. I can tell you what, the last car of the race to lose their right side of their car and get damaged, Hartwell has done it now with about under 15 to go. Finally, the right side of that car is gone. As you can see, Hayward there making a little bit of kiss to the barrier there, a 30.379 to Yarrow's 30.027, with 2 seconds separating these two now, a little bit under 2 with 11 to go. I think Yarrow is going to get there, but can he make the pass? It should start to taper out more as he gets there.
Hunter Hayward, he's got 3 wins this season for himself, and he's only ran now this race being the 7th race, but the previous 6 races he's finished in the top 10 every single time, trying to make it 7 for 7. The only driver that has actually finished in the top 10 every start of this race, but into the wall is not what you want to do for the 21 when you've got a driver right behind you trying to get that podium position.
Yeah, that's just giving up free time there and free money to that 95 of Yarrow. He is clawing it in, and he can see that 21 getting bigger and bigger. And I can tell you what, it's also getting bigger and bigger in the mirror of that 21's mirror. And you can see with 9 to go now as they cross the line, 30.54 to a 30.285. So about 0.2 of a second there, almost 3.
Looking at our leader right now, Steven Stempian, he just continues to just be on cruise control. The gap is up to 5 seconds between himself and Hartwell. Hartwell, you can tell that he did everything in his power to try to run and stay with Steven Stempian. It just hasn't worked out. But we're seeing that battle inching closer and closer. It's almost less than half a second. Hunter Hayward, he's got to defend as we're coming to 8 laps to go. Soon 7 laps to go between Michael Yarrow and Hunter Hayward for 3rd place.
Oh, Yarrow into the wall there a little bit. He was 0.6 faster. He just gets there. He has got the grip, of course, with those tires. Man, oh man, just can't get into the wall like he did there last time in 1 and 2 and lost a little bit of time. You see him go way up the racetrack trying to use every bit of this grip he can, turn it down, get the run off. He's going to be within 3 car lengths as we cross the start-finish line.
It's been green, and we have not seen the color that will not be named. 3rd place battle is currently bumper to bumper. Michael Yarrow right there trying to figure out how to get the better run as gets loose, and it's a little bit of an opposite. The 21 tight into the outside wall, and the 95 loose gets himself all squirrely, tail whipping himself around, able to hold on, but now has to reset as the laps continue to tick away. You cannot be making these mistakes. The 95 wall riding through that corner.
Yeah, he had so much center speed. There was no way he wasn't going to hit the wall there. It really just bounced off that thing here with 6 to go, though. It's going to be a very interesting battle. And Yarrow very loose off of 2. If I'm Hayward and I'm noticing that in my mirror, you've got to make an adjustment and know I just got to back it up and get good exits here because Yarrow is struggling on that exit to put the power down.
Yarrow's just understanding he's right there, and I think it might be the pressure getting to the 95 because he is just charging, trying to get the best exit he can, getting on the throttle a little bit sooner than I think he has to. He can be patient. He's got the better center speed. He's got the fresher tires. He doesn't need to get on the throttle as soon, and that's what's been costing him time. He waited, and here comes the run on the backstretch as it's 4 laps to go. Michael Yarrow for 3rd place. He's going to the apron. He's going to slide job it, but he's got to be careful of that outside wall.
And here comes Hayward back down to the inside for the crossover. Not enough grip left in those tires. Yarrow's got it. Here comes Hayward down the front straightaway. A little bit of a side draft, pulls dead even. Yarrow's going to have to let him take it unless he wants to try to stick it around the outside. That is a dangerous move. 4 to go. Young man Hunter Hayward showing why he has 3 wins this season. Fighting hard.
Steven Stempian, he is in no man's land. 6 seconds of the gap between himself and that of Hartwell. The battle for 3rd go. We've been watching it, and Hunter Hayward got the better launch, and we're seeing the tires just demolish and diminish for the 95. They're almost completely shot. He's losing ground. Hunter Hayward's pulling away.
Oh, man, Sam, 3 to go for these boys. Can they get it done? Can Hayward pull it off? Can Yarrow get the top 3? Yarrow's still going to have the advantage with tires, but you can see just making mistakes, just really mistakes we haven't seen out of him all night. It seems like that pressure has really got to him and just overdriven the car with those new tires.
7 of Derek Love almost bringing out a yellow while we were 2 laps to go. Now waiting for the white flag as Steven Stempian's coming up to the 1 of Todd Neese. As they're on the back stretch, it's going to be that of Steven Stempian. He's got 2 more lap cars to worry about as he's coming through 3 and 4. He's got Leffler also pressuring from behind. It is a lot of pressure for the 81 coming to the white flag. You got a driver behind, drivers in front. It is not a smooth sailing white flag for Steven Stempian.
Yeah, with 6.5 second gap there, he's just going to let Steven Leffler buy on the new tires. Right now, it is all management here. He's got James Bryan behind him, no pressure, nothing in front here as the cars start to pull away down the back straight for the final time tonight. Steven Stempian has been fantastic in this throwback 81 machine. He's going to go to victory lane here tonight, Sam.
Coming out of 4, hoping lap traffic doesn't cause any calamity. They stay straight. He does as well. The American Hero Hunt 200 goes to Steven Stempian, our 3rd winner of the season. It was no longer Hunter Hayward or that of Whitley. We've got a new winner here this season for Season 10.
And it looks like Hartwell going to bring home 2nd as Hayward off of 4 fights off Michael Yarrow to bring home a top 3 after on pole spinning at the beginning of this race. Man, oh man, what a comeback for that young man as this race stayed completely green. But his teammate, Steven Stympian, put on a clinic here tonight at Darlington. And I tell you what, he's going to be one excited driver, guys.
Restarts were practiced during the practice time, and there were a lot of wrecks that were going on, and the drivers all recognized we had to be patient, give each other space on these starts, and we only needed one start. It was on the lap 1, and it stayed green all the way through. Steven Stympian, he kept his nose out of trouble, and it was worth it all, as here comes that Mark Whitley is going to hit the driver once he comes around. But we're going to be talking to that of Steven Stympian, Brandon Hartwell, as well as Hunter Hayward, and just a few. Zach, it was a wild one. I cannot wait to hear what these drivers have to say about tonight.
All right, we are back here, everybody, for our post-race interviews at SRU here at the Darlington Raceway. And man, what a night we had. Completely green flag racing here at Darlington for 200 miles at the American Hero Hunt 200 at Sim Racing Unleashed. But let's go ahead and talk to our top 3 drivers tonight as they had a fantastic run. Let's bring up our pole setter and third place man, Hunter Hayward, and hear what he has to say on his top 3 finish. Hey, Hunter, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Oh, yes, sir, I do.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, a completely green race started from pole, and I tell you what, it probably couldn't have went any worse for you there unless you got some damage from it, but luckily able to stay out of damage range there. But man, oh man, what a race and what a comeback from yourself. Let's first go through that beginning, man, and how easy was it to lose it there, and kind of take us through that start.
Well, originally I did not expect the 77 to race me in the first corner that hard. I thought it was going to be more give and take with this track and package currently. But, yeah, I mean, just 77 lost it on the outside of me. I kind of swerved a little bit. He came down, gave me a tap, and they went from there. But, man, I will take going from dead last to the top 3, dude. Holy cow. Yeah, it was an exhausting race. I got the stripe a little bit, but all in all, great race. Awesome race by my teammate Stemp. Dominated that whole thing and was so fast I couldn't really do anything. But yet again, I just needed a caution to recover. But you know, a top 3 is really good, and that's a fun package, man. You gotta finally drive the car again. You can't flat-foot it in turn 1 and 2 anymore. You got to work the throttle. So I hope that package is like that at every track, because when they actually bring it to real life, because this is the first time in a while I've had a lot of fun actually driving the car.
Yeah, buddy, we kind of seen that tonight. It looked very, very fun from the booth out here tonight. The racing was great, nonetheless, man. But I tell you what, the racing between you and Yarrow down the end, I mean, take us through that. I mean, the guy's got so much fresher tires, runs you down from a mile back, and then he gets to you. It seems like he started making some, mistakes, and the pressure kind of got to him. I mean, how did you not crack under that pressure with the old tires?
Um, I really don't know. I was kind of just hitting my marks doing everything I did earlier, and man, when someone gets to your bumper, the rear end just picks up from all that air coming back, reflecting off that car and going back into your rear tires and lifting the rear up a little bit, and that's where it really wants to slide. It takes away pretty much all the downforce if there is any, anyways. But and the car started sliding, but he finally got around me. I checked up big time in that corner, got a huge run on him, and then did a side jump on him in turn one, and then that's where the mistakes came in for him, and he fell back. But yeah, I really don't know. Darlington really is a good track for me when you have to drive the car and work with it. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I don't know how I held him off. He had much better tires. I think the mistakes definitely helped me in my favor, but overall, he just was great racing between us. And overall, that was really good racing, staying green from flag to flag.
Yeah, that it was flag to flag, green flag action here at the Darlington, South Carolina. Man, what a night it's been, Hunter. Congrats on that second position or third position tonight, buddy. Before we let you out of here,
I'll take second.
yeah, I wish I could reward it to you, but unfortunately, I can't change those things. But before we let you get out of here, buddy, anybody wants to shout out to as always?
Yeah, just my teammate out there, Stemp. Great win, awesome win. Finally, I know I owe him too for that after pushing me to the win at Charlotte and Michigan. So there's one. Congratulations, buddy. Go celebrate. That was an awesome race. And my other teammate out there as well, Dave Bush. Unfortunately, had to drop third of the car behind the wall. Just struggled with the car all day and accidentally wrecked it. Everyone else here out in the league, it's just awesome racing with y'all. I enjoyed every single week in and week out. Everyone letting in this league as well for you fast broadcasting, for broadcasting every week in and out. Letting me also have a chance to commentate every now and then for y'all. I enjoy very much. Also, like to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, PlanBSales.com. I run on my hood every single week, no matter the series. Plan B Sales, largest distributor of diecasts in North America. Go check them out. PlanBSales.com, where you can find apparel for NASCAR to dirt racing to IndyCar, Formula One, apparel from T-shirts to hats to even diecasts, any of that for your favorite driver. So check them out. It would help me out and them as well. Make sure to use code HH48, HH as in Hunter Hayward 48, for free shipping on orders over $20. That would help us all out a bunch. And also everyone else out, Cat 5 that helps me out, Uzak, Collie, Cedric, Larry, everyone else out there, Brian helps out a lot. And, on the next week, I don't know where we're at next week, Zach, so you might know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, next Sunday.
Well, buddy, it'll be fun to see you guys at Phoenix next Sunday. I think that'll be another track where you really got to get up on the wheel and drive this car. But again, congrats on third, buddy. And we will catch you next week at Phoenix.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Yep, you too, buddy. All right there. That was Hunter Hayward after a wild drive back to the top three for himself to get back into a podium spot after a spin early in the go and battling with Mark Whitley there. Great job by him to recover. Let's go ahead and talk to our second place man, Brandon Hartwell. And man, I tell you what, this driver here, he was probably the driver who picked up the most time throughout the race to our leader, Steven Stimpian. So let's hear about his thoughts and what he possibly had for our leader. Hey, Brandon, Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Hey, man, well, I tell you what, a fantastic run for you tonight here, Brandon. Man, I tell you what, at the beginning of the start, lost a lot of time there in 1 and 2 from that 8th starting position. And really, it was a recovery drive from that point on for you, man, in the 25. And I tell you what, you kept the right side, the cleanest of anybody all night up until the very end there. And it was a really good run, a lot of good pace from you. I mean, how did you work yourself back all the way to that second position? I mean, that had to be a grueling run there for 147 laps green.
Yeah, that was awesome. I felt like my car got so much better on the longer run. But yeah, that last run I just tried to hit as early as I could to get a jump on Stemp, hopefully battle with him, but his tires were just too strong at the end.
Yeah, it definitely came down to those tires there at the end, man. I mean, if you feel like you got a caution there at some point, I know we had a few incidents on the racetrack that, the caution never came out tonight for 147 laps. I mean, if you feel like you could have got up there too, I mean, and had a long run, do you feel like you could have had some for him? Because we've seen all night, really, it was you and Stimpy and matching lap times, or you being a little bit quicker even sometimes.
Oh yeah, I think I could have gave Stampian hell, but we'll just have to see for another day.
Well, man, I tell you what, Brandon, it's good to see you have a great run, man, again up here at SRU, and cool to see you guys battling hard with these cars here and having a tough time with them at that here at the Darlington Raceway, man. So congrats on second, Brandon. Before we let you go, though, man, anybody wants to shout to?
Yeah, shout out to you guys on the broadcast, putting up a hell of a show. You guys going green that whole race. I was actually surprised. And thanks everybody.
Well, Brandon, you have a great night, man. We will catch you at Phoenix next week, buddy, and you have a wonderful night. All right, everybody. That was Brandon Hartwell in the 25 machine as he was able to bring home that second place finish. What a great run for him to recover after that start of the race, losing a little bit of time for himself. But nobody could gain on this man. Steven Stempian dominant all night. Really, for once he got the lead from Steven Leffler, he never looked back in that 81 machine. Let's hear from your race winner here tonight, SRU, Steven Stempian. Steven, is Zach up in the booth, buddy? You got a copy?
Oh, you bet I have a copy.
Buddy, I'm going to tell you what, this has got to be a special win for you, first off. Newborn son just recently. I mean, to come out here tonight at Darlington, man, and put on the domination, not only win the race, but dominate the race like you did tonight. How does that feel to get your season, in a good point here to get rolling at the end?
That felt really good, man. I've come close the last couple of races, second and third a couple of times. Just finally glad to get a win there tonight. I came close a couple seasons ago. Similar to tonight, dominated the whole race and just late race caution at the end messed everything up for me. But this time Lady Luck was on my side.
That it was, Steven. I tell you what, man. Of all the drivers tonight, just I don't hate to do it. I like to say this. I called it out at the beginning of the race. I said you were going to be one to beat, man. I felt like we talked about Whitley and also Hayward having the 3 wins coming into this race, or Whitley having 4 and Hayward having the 3. But you to come in here tonight, I felt like you were going to be the X factor, man. What about this track? And do you feel like the car suited you tonight? Did it go back to what you felt like before?
Honestly, in practice tonight, I didn't feel like I was going to have a strong run. For some reason, it was tough off too. It felt like it was going to be one of those races where there's going to take a lot of patience. And that first run, once I saw Hayward and Whitley, get into it off two at the start, I knew, all right, let's just take a deep breath, calm down, run your race. Don't go too hard off 2. Take it easy. And obviously, Leffler got off to a good start on me at the beginning of that race, and then I just tracked him down and just patience. At the end of that first run, my tires were still 75, 80% roughly between the front rights and the back rights. So I knew I was conserving pretty good. So on that second run, I hauled butt there. I know we're broadcasting on iRacing Live, so I'm not going to say what I want to say, but man, that felt good though. You watch Whitley. Whitley's been a class act this whole season, dominating races, and it was nice to dominate. Sorry, I got into him there. I tried side draft him. They lay in the run, but I hate to see him get wrecked out. But I'll take the win any day.
Yeah, I definitely was about to go through that. Like you pitted there, you had such a big lead built up that you could wait and build that gap to have the fresher tires. But when you came out, you did have to get by Whitley. You had to get by lap traffic of other cars too. So, take us through those final moments. I mean, you had that huge gap, you pit, and then you got 25 to go, and you got even Leffler who's staying out there at that moment. So it's kind of cycling through pit stops. Do you get what's it like in that moment going through your head there trying to get back to that lead to win this thing?
You had to take a deep breath. I knew I had the car to beat. I don't think anybody was going to touch me on long runs. and I know I had the tire advantage between them all. So it's just patiently waiting and pick my spots with the lap traffic and everything. And the guys did a great job. Obviously, moving out of the way if I was faster, and giving me the lane. That caution with not caution, but the incident with Whitley. I honestly thought he thought I was going to be faster and let me go. I didn't expect him to run me that hard because I hunted him down. But it is what it is. Hate to see it.
Yeah, buddy, I tell you what, it was a great race. Nonetheless, completely clean and green to the end. Your domination performance here tonight. It was one to watch, and that throwback scheme in the 81 also looked really good. You ran that scheme here before, haven't you, in throwback week?
Yeah, that was my next thing I was about to bring up. This is the third time I've run this scheme, throwback week, because I really wanted to get this thing in victory lane one of these days. I love painting all my cars. I paint all my schemes, and this is one of my favorites. It's got that throwback number on the sides, and I just love that scheme, and I really wanted to get that win. I wasn't gonna stop running that scheme until I won.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, it's gotten victory lane tonight. It's good to see because the 81's been close to victory lane here multiple times. The Darlington had good shows. And I tell you what, tonight was tonight for you, buddy. So congrats on that win and breaking up the Hayward and Whitley, winning streak there for those drivers. So really going to pop in there now and see if we can get a few more of these drivers in victory lane, man. I tell you what, it's been fun to watch nonetheless. But before we let you get out of here, Steven, as always, man, and before you get here to celebrate your victory, anybody wants to shout to?
Obviously, you guys for putting off the broadcast. You guys do a phenomenal job. Can't say enough watching these broadcasts. And the next day, it's just quality, like watching TV, real race. It's tremendous the job you guys do, and obviously announcing and keeping everybody entertained for those 100 and something laps on green flag runs. So obviously, Budweiser to my scheme tonight. Dedicate this win to my newborn son who turned 3 weeks yesterday, 3 weeks old. And obviously my lovely fiance Kayla for letting me do this, giving me a break to race and watch him. And obviously my father watching out there, and my teammates, Dave Bush and Hunter Haywood. Haywood still owes me 2. That was not payback for the 2 wins I got him. But yeah, it's just thank you guys obviously for putting us out there and letting them watch and have some fun on Sunday nights.
Well, Steven, man, we couldn't do it without you guys here at SRU, so we got to thank you guys first off, and the drivers out there for going completely green. Now, that is spectacular, so you guys should pat yourself on the back, and you should definitely pat yourself on the back, sir, for the dominating performance you put on tonight. So congrats on that, and, man, go celebrate this thing, and we will catch you next week in Phoenix. You never know, that 81 could go back-to-back.
I'm looking forward to Phoenix. Phoenix is another one of my tracks, so we'll see what next week holds.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, after this week, we'll see how it plays out, man. Congrats, and we'll catch you next week, man.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a good week.
You too, buddy. All right, everybody. That was Steven Stimpy, and your race winner here tonight at the Darlington Raceway. What a night it was for him. Oh, I'm so happy for that guy. He's got the monkey off his back. He's been wanting this win, and it's good to see. That's a feel-good victory. I don't care who you are. So shout out to Steven Stimpy for that. But let's go ahead and go through our race results tonight as we have those up. Stimpy in there bringing home that race victory from Smoke Inc. Second's going to go to that man of Brandon Hartwell. Great run for him. Third, after Hunter Hayward fights off Yarrow for that third position. Yarrow's going to come home in fourth. Fifth's going to be Mark Whitley after that late contact with Steven Stimpy. And still a good recovery to bring home fifth. Stephen Leffler staying out, trying to catch a caution. Will bring it home in sixth. Seventh's going to go to Todd Neese, the last car on the lead lap. Eight's going to be James Bryant. Ninth's going to go to Brad Delph. 10th place there running our top 10 is going to be Derek Love, the rookie. The 11th's going to go to Mike Chamberlain, another rookie. 12th's going to go to Jason Adams. 13th's going to be Kevin Roy. 14th's going to go to Keith Hoba, another rookie. Glenn Ballard is going to bring home in the 15th position. 16th's going to go to Dave Bush. 17th is Mark Koscheck. 18th going to go to Clifton Ashley. 19th's going to go to Paul Cohen. And 20th's going to go to Jason Anderson. As that is your race results here tonight from the Darlington Raceway for the American Hero Hunt 200 at the Darlington Raceway. I cannot elude how special that victory was for Steven Stimpy and how great a race that was. 147 laps green. Shout out to SRU for that. That is very tough to do at this racetrack, and you don't see that feat accomplished very many times. And definitely want to also shout out Sam Dyer here, who was here tonight to commentate with us. He had to exit the building here early, so we want to definitely give him a shout out, and he wanted to make sure to let everybody know thank you for tuning in, as always, here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And if you haven't yet, and you're still tuning in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button there, that subscribe button, and that bell button, as we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2021. And we got time, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, we got plenty of race left for us in 2021 at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and plenty of racing action left to go. Now up to 954. It's grown each week, and that makes me smile. And I tell you what, I would appreciate it if everybody just kept that smile on my face. So thank you again for everybody tuning in here tonight, Darlington. Let's send it up to our producer, Robert Moore Jr., to close out our broadcast.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Sam. As you said, Sam had to bail out and head off to another broadcast over at LSR TV. So if you're not busy and you want to see some more action-packed racing, go over and check out him calling that action over there on their very, very late night. But with that being said, congratulations, like you said, to these guys here. Congratulations to Steven Stempian to finally get that monkey off his back. Like you said there, Zach, he finally gets the victory, and now we'll see if he can go back-to-back and see what that 81 can do next week at Phoenix, as we'll be with the Street Side Classic 200 at the same time every Sunday, 7:50, with these guys here in the next-gen cars. So make sure you tune in to see that action at Phoenix, as it's the first time we're going to see the next-gen cars out there at Phoenix. So you're going to know as much as we know, as you can come along with us for the ride and see what happens there. But with that being said, our next televise will be Tuesday, as we will be with RSR with their ARCA series, and at 7:20 and then at 9:20 doubleheader, as they are in the round of 8, race 1. It is going to be the Mustang Week 20-year anniversary Mustang Week 140 as they head to Atlanta, round of 8. And if you didn't see any of the action last Tuesday, make sure you go back and check that out, because when I say the action's gonna heat up, you don't want to miss any of this action that's coming up Tuesday for the next couple weeks. It is gonna be some, well, we'll just see what happens. It's going to be some hard-nosed battling with them guys. It's just going to be a great playoffs to see who wins that championship over there. But with that being said, I want to say one more thing. Thank you to everybody on iRacing side of things and everybody that tuned in on YouTube. You know what to do if you enjoyed this commentating and this action. But until Tuesday, have a great Monday. Be safe. Come home from work, get some rest, and get ready for Tuesday night here at Freaky Fast. But until then, Sam, Zach, me, want to say God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.